Well, everyone, it's time for us to talk about some very interesting phones that Apple has made and see how they all compare, I guess, in 2022. I don't really remember what I'm talking about. We have the iPhone 10, the iPhone 10s, and the iPhone 11 Pro. Now, I have to switch these around. Now, what's very interesting about this is that these are the $1,000 phones that Apple has made for 2017, 2018, and 2019. Now, arguably, in my opinion, the iPhone 10 is the most impactful iPhone here. What's very interesting is if you're looking at any one of these iPhones, you can see how each single one pretty much is just a reincarnated version of the iPhone 10. This is by far one of the most impactful iPhones right now, or in general for the last probably 5-6 years. Now, the iPhone 10 originally came out in 2017, and when we take a look around this iPhone, I mean, the display is still very prominent. The design of the latest iPhones is still pretty much the same thing as this, although other things have changed. The iPhone 10 still looks extremely premium, it still feels extremely premium, and when we look at something like the 2018 $1,000 phone, which was the iPhone 10s, yeah, there are some differences, there are some upgrades, but externally, very few changes. We now have this gold color, which is nice, but the display was almost identically the same. This is a third-party display on this one, but you know, all iPhone 10s's and the iPhone 10, all pretty much the same display. I heard they may go a little bit brighter, but I don't even know if that's true. Pretty much same exact display for the most part. With the iPhone 11 Pro, I do believe the display on here was better looking, although I don't necessarily think it was a pretty, I don't think they purposely made it better or anything like that. I think arguably they all kind of look the same. For some reason, I don't know why, the iPhone 10's display just looks so much sharper than all these other ones. I don't know what it is with it, even with my iPhone 11 Pro. Now, OLED displays on all of these, we had Super Retina OLED displays. I think this one was not an XDR OLED. I could be wrong. These ones all had different types of internals, but one of the coolest things is with the back of all these iPhones. So if I were to go ahead and show you the side of the iPhone 10s real quick, you can see just how similar all these designs were, at least on the side. You can see for 3 years of iPhones, Apple pretty much, and even the newest ones still, they all have the vibrations on-off switches right up here, volume buttons in the exact same spot, lightning ports at the bottom as well. But then we get to the back, and this is where things get really interesting. So starting off with the iPhone 10, it had that glass back, which kind of originated and stemmed from the iPhone 8s. So these all kind of came at the same time, although the iPhone 4 also brought a glass back, and this was a pretty premium back. Having a full glass back like this was really cool. Dual camera setup up top was really awesome as well. I didn't really like having that Apple logo up top and with iPhone right here, to be honest. So I was really happy when they eventually released the 11 Pro with this type of design, which we'll get into in a second. But definitely when I hold the iPhone 10 and I feel it around, this is still a very premium phone. It does not feel cheap, and although the newest ones do have a little bit of a different design, this was one of my favorite types of backs. The iPhone 10s pretty much the exact same thing, although on this one I do have a skin on it. This iPhone 10s had, pretty much the same type of glass back. We did get a gold color with the iPhone 10s, which is what I have here, although this one, skin like I mentioned, but we do have the gold insides, which was really cool. I love the gold color. That's why I pretty much got all my iPhones in gold. Even my iPhone 12 Pro here, which was gold, which isn't really gold to be honest. I love that gold color, and I'm glad I got a 10s. This was one of the only iPhones that were a $1,000 phone that I didn't really use. I bought this one used. I think this one had like a baddie IMEI number or something like that, but I never used it as a main device because I probably couldn't. But then we have the iPhone 11 Pro. And just like how the iPhone 10, in my opinion, was super impactful for the front of the phone with removing, the home button and all that, the iPhone 11 Pro was super impactful for the back of this iPhone. This is, in my opinion, one of the best decisions Apple has ever made that also other manufacturers were doing at the same time too. This phone had this frosted glass back. Now, if you've never felt a phone with a frosted glass back, it literally feels like a frosted back on this phone that's glass. That's literally what it feels like. It's almost like rubbing your fingers on ice. That's kind of what it feels like. Like if you're able to get ice around you and you're able to feel it, it kind of feels like that, to be honest. Or if there's like a window that's like kind of frozen, feeling on it, that's kind of what it feels like. And it feels so beautiful. On top of that, wireless charging, IP certification on all these, which was nice. But Apple made another really smart decision. This camera up top, when you look at the iPhone 10 and 10s, they all had dual camera setups, telephoto lenses, but no ultra-wide sensor. The iPhone 11 Pro actually ended up bringing an ultra-wide sensor. This, in my opinion, was one of the best things Apple has ever done. And when they released their iPhone 11, which was the same time as this iPhone, instead of giving it a telephoto lens, they actually gave it the ultra-wide sensor, which was really awesome. So you all have to remember, when Apple drops these $1,000 phones, they also drop some other iPhones around it. With the iPhone 10, they dropped the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Good phones, but the 8 Plus had a telephoto lens. When Apple dropped the iPhone 10s, good phone, But with the 10R, they only gave it a single camera setup, which was really crazy. With the iPhone 11 Pro, that whole entire drop, Apple dropped the iPhone 11 with the ultra-wide sensor that's still being sold. So I feel like not only was the most impactful iPhone out of all these the iPhone 10, but I feel like the most important lineups Apple has made was the iPhone 11 Pro lineup. Every single iPhone on that series was a hit. The iPhone 11 Pro Max was a hit, the 11 Pro was a hit, and the iPhone 11 was a hit as well. So let alone just comparing these iPhones, the drop, all the iPhones at the same time. And that's what was really cool. It's almost like an album. When all these iPhones drop, it's almost like when somebody drops an album. The iPhone 10 was like one of the songs, but if all the songs aren't a hit, then it's going to be a floppy album, to be honest. The 10s and 10s Max weren't really like crazy good phones, but the 10R I thought was really decent after a couple months. The 11 Pro, this was a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, the whole entire drop of this. Now, when you look at all these iPhones side by side, of course the iPhone 11 Pro is the better looking one. But another big thing is the price tag as of right now. I will say in terms of accessibility, the iPhone 11 Pro is probably the easier one to pick up. The main reason for that is because Apple is still selling this iPhone in the certified refurbished market. So if you were to go and you want to buy a certified refurbished iPhone straight from Apple, well, one of your only choices is the iPhone 11 Pro. I don't know why Apple's not selling any other iPhones, but if you want to go down that route, certified refurbished, you do have a higher likelihood of finding a certified refurbished iPhone 11 Pro than any of these other iPhones. But you can easily get an iPhone 11 Pro in the used market, eBay, Craigslist, wherever else, for about maybe like $500, maybe $400 to $500. Very, very solid iPhone here. The 10s, on the other hand, I don't know if you can buy these in the certified refurbished market from Apple anymore, although I think there is a tab for the iPhone 10 or so. There could be something like that. But the thing with the iPhone 10s, though, is that this specific device I don't really think this is an iPhone you should buy. I either think you should jump up to the iPhone 11 Pro, or you should just kind of get an iPhone 10 for cheaper. The 10s you can probably buy for around $300 to $400. So all these are kind of around $100 increments of within each other in the used market. Again, certified refurbished may be a little bit different, but that's where the iPhone 10s kind of is landing at. I don't necessarily think this is the first iPhone I would recommend. And even though the iPhone 10 is older, it's a little tricky because I think the 10 is a better value per dollar, but the 10s does have a longer future ahead of it. So I may be changing my opinion on this a little bit in the future, but as of right now, I feel like the iPhone 10, with it still being supported with software, is probably the better deal out of these two, to be honest, but the 11 Pro is definitely the better one for sure. With something like the iPhone 10, you can probably buy it for around $200 to $300. So this one $400 to $500, this one $300 to $400, this one about $200 to $300. If you're lucky, you may be even able to get a little bit cheaper than that. And it's crazy because 5 years later, this is still a super important phone, still getting software updates, and it's still being sold for a decent price. I mean, it's kind of went down in price tag, at least kind of reasonably. So it wasn't like it was $1,000 phone and then it went down to like $300 the next year. I mean, now it's kind of around that $200, $300 price tag. So I definitely do say out of all three of these phones, I love the iPhone 10, I like the iPhone 10s, but I love the iPhone 11 Pro. And I do think if you're going to buy one of these, get the iPhone 11 Pro. You cannot go wrong with this phone in 2022. And I have a lot of respect for the iPhone 10. I have a lot of respect for the 10s as well, but pick up the iPhone 11 Pro. It's definitely worth the money, or you can save some money and get the iPhone 10. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.